So we finished with اعتبارات, yeah? متابعة الشواهد. اعتبارات is not متابعات شواهد. اعتبارات is the thing that helps you. اعتبار is not indication. اعتبار is to take hadith and to look if this hadith, the person, to study the person has hadith acceptable or not. So اعتبارات is not اعتبار متابعات شواهد, the way the guy said last year when he was trying to say about اعتبارات is something that show you متابعات and شواهد. Someone. Okay. Now we finish with that. We go to 16. Category 16 now in hadith. And he speaks here about afrad. Afrad is from the word, the plural of fard. Fard is single. So what is the afrad? He said, وَهُوَ أَقْسَامٌ. He says afrad is aqsam. It's not a very important category of hadith. Afrad, he said it's different categories. One time we say afrad if it's something that the narrator has narrated from his sheikh. One person narrates from sheikh. One sheikh, one person narrates from sheikh. Yeah, that is fard. Single person narrate. They call it this hadith انفرد به فلان عن فلان. We say this person, only this person narrated it from this person. That is afrad. It's not a big issue for those who take hadith ahad. Afrad is one. So it is different categories. You say this hadith انفرد به فلان عن فلان. Nobody narrated it except Malik from Zuhri, such as hadith of the Prophet entered Mecca on his head the instruments of what we call it, the helmet of war. Yeah, finish. Yeah. Yeah, that is what they call mean. Gharib, fard. This hadith is fard. So you say انفرد به فلان عن فلان. This only person narrated it from this. So there is no.
So amongst those who take, who say ahad is doubtful, those people think, do they take this fard as?
Well, doubtful is the saying of the majority.
Yeah.
But they still take it.
Yeah.
I mean, the majority say hadith ahad is doubtful, but they say it's dhann, it's dhann rajih, not dhann marjuh. So they take it anyway. So that is not a problem for them. It will be a problem for the Mu'tazila.
Yeah.
But it's not a problem in a way. You see, when we say hadith fard, when we say this is fard, what happens? Mu'tazila don't take a hadith ahad.
At all?
No, at all. Now the rules state that they don't take hadith ahad, but sometimes they might go against the rules, like everybody. When we speak about hadith ahad, when we say about hadith fard, if someone says انفرد به مالك عن الزهري, people will not say انفرد به مالك عن عبد الكريم بن أبي المخارق, for example, or عبد الكريم أبي أمية, or why? Because Abdul Karim al-Jazari, for example, even though he's trustworthy, he doesn't have that many students. So if Malik narrates from him a hadith that other people don't narrate, people will not find it odd. But Zuhri, being so famous, having so many students, then people will say, oh, infarada bihi Malik. Even though it won't, they will say, okay, Malik is fine because Malik is trustworthy anyway. But they will mention it. It's like, you understand, still there is something. Why everybody, there is this question always comes, why all these students of Zuhri didn't narrate it except for him?
We had thousands. We had a lot of students.
Yes. So it's different between someone like Zuhri or someone who does, it's not that he's trustworthy, but he's not well known. You understand? So when we say in fard, this hadith is fard, infarada bihi, this person from this person, that means that's what they will want to say. This person has so many students, but nobody narrated this hadith, particular hadith, except for this person. They don't mean to reject it or anything. It just, they mention it. Huh? It doesn't make hadith da'if or hadith sahih.
One man, or just, can it mean 2, 3? Just one man.
No, when we say fard, that's mean one person. When we say rawi, one person from one person. Sometimes we say hadith fard is categories. Now when you say one person from one person, that is fard. Sometimes you say this hadith infarada bihi ahlul Iraq. Nobody narrated it except of people. All the narrators are people of Iraq. So it's not known in Medina. It's not known in Mecca. The people who narrated it are known to be either from Baghdad, from Kufa, from Basra. So you say infarada bihi. He said, or أن ينفرد بها أهل قطر, people of one country mentioned it. Huh? Such as they say this hadith is of the Sham, of Iraq, of Hijaz, or something similar. And sometimes it is narrated by one person. He said sometimes it's the two categories, one person and one place. That is, of course, always when it's one person, it definitely is in one place. You understand? But it might be that it's not one person, but not if the person, for example, is from Kufa, from Medina, for example. So, but he take it from Zuhri, who is in a way from people of Sham. He is from people of Medina. He is from people of Sham. Let's say he take it from Malik, takes it from someone who is from Ata ibn Abi Rabah, who is from Mecca. So Medina from Mecca is,
No problem.
you understand? So you can't say, oh, this is just for people of Medina, hadith of Medina. It's hadith of Medina, and the sheikh is from Mecca anyway. So
Yes, you said it has nothing to do with Sahih or
sorry?
Does it have anything to do with Sahih or
No, it doesn't.
طيب why they said when Ahmed bin Abdullah bin Hussein وإن أبو الزناد قالوا تفرد به
Ahmed bin Abdullah bin Hussein.
حديث البروق.
No, it's not Ahmed bin Abdullah bin Hussein. It's Muhammad.
محمد.
Yeah, bin al-Hasan, النفس الزكية. Yeah, that is different. They say تفرد به because it is first. They say there is a problem there because he might not have heard it. There is no proof that he heard from Abu Zinad. Bukhari said it might be broken. So, yeah, but still, that person is not well known. He's not well known. He's not like known to be trustworthy.
Not to be trustworthy, or the students of Abu Zinad?
No, he's not known also to be trustworthy. Not many people say he is trustworthy. Okay, so he said Hafiz al-Daraqutni has a book in Afrad. He has a book, just he gathered in it the hadith that is narrated by single people, like one person narrating it from different people, or hadith that is known in one area, not known in other areas. So he said in 100, this book is 100 volumes. He said nobody has written a book like similar to it before him.
100 volumes.
Yes, 100 volumes doesn't mean it's like every volume might be very small.
Ah.
So he said
You
Muhammad.
still have this book?
Hmm?
You still have this book?
Kitab al-Afrad, Daraqutni. There is some people try to gather it. They have just collected some. It doesn't exist fully. Al-Hafiz Muhammad ibn Tahir, he said Al-Hafiz Muhammad ibn Tahir, he collected this book he put it on the made like fahras, what's the index for it. So that is Afrad. Afrad is not a category of hadith sahih or hadith da'if. That's why people don't really much care about it.
So it could be found on Sahih or Da'if.
Yeah, you can just always mention it. Oh, this hadith is Afrad. You understand? Sometimes when hadith is ma'lul, you can add this word to it just to make it look worse. And when you have the established hadith is da'if, and you can say, okay, and also it has been narrated only through this person. You understand?
What does afad and there is thulathiyat, sir?
Yeah, we are not going to talk about everything in one place.
No, what does
No, thulathiyat has nothing to do with this, so you can wait until you finish this and then you can talk about the thulathiyat. النوع السابع عشر, the 17th category, زيادة الثقة. Now we talk about زيادة الثقة, the addition of trustworthy. He say if a narrator add ziyada in hadith from other rawat, from other narrators, from one sheikh, this is what we call ziyadat thiqa. How it happens? I would have brought a pen today with a table so we can write it down, but this is how it would happen. We have hadith from the Prophet, from him Ibn Umar, from him Nafi', from him Malik, and Ubaydullah ibn Umar, and Layth ibn Sa'd, and Dhahhak ibn Uthman, and Umar ibn Nafi'. So many. And they all narrate the same hadith. One of them add a word to the hadith. He will definitely bring the same example here. That is, they are all, for example, trustworthy. And then all of them, for example, say that the Prophet has ordered zakat al-fitr, 1 sa' of dates, 1 sa' of barley, to be given before Salatul Eid, to be given about for every single person that Muslim. So every single person, from whether free or slave, like everybody in the household, whether he is male or female. So all of them say this, and one of them say amongst the Muslimin. You understand? From the Muslimin. Those who didn't say from the Muslimin, all of them, if we take their hadith, then you have to give zakat al-fitr for everybody in your household, including your non-Muslim slaves. But this word makes changes here. And this word Malik said it. Some people say this as well, but before, those who don't know that other people say this word as well, they will say, look, like Malik had a word. What are you going to do with it? We spoke about shad before, odd. When someone trustworthy contradict the more shad. When someone trustworthy contradict many people trustworthy, more trustworthy than him, or someone trustworthy contradict someone who is more careful, more. So we said that will be odd. Now you can see that this is the same. Malik here has contradicted. Now when you have to reject it, we say it's odd. You have to look at the people before you make your decision. You understand? So when you have to reject it, it's the same scenario. One person contradicted many. But when you have to reject it, you say this is odd, shad, and therefore I reject it. When you take it, you say this is the addition of trustworthy. You understand? And then you take it. And this, it has no rule. You have to look at the circumstances. Now Malik, for example, narrating hadith from Nafi', and 7 people contradict him. Okay, we say, okay, these 7 people might have narrated this hadith, might have heard this hadith in one place. And sometime the narrator might not mention the full hadith. He just doesn't see the necessity of mentioning that word. You understand? He mentioned the hadith and that word for him, it won't make a change, so he doesn't mention it. People do that. They narrate hadith and then they don't mention a word in it. And then we say here, look, those people who contradicted Malik is someone who was from Medina and Nafi' from Medina, and he was there all the time. So he heard this hadith repeatedly. So his contradiction to the 7 people, it's not really a contradiction. It might be contradiction to one person. Because it's like, oh, Nafi' said it one time, and Malik was there, and he heard it fully. Nafi' said it another time, he didn't say it fully, and all these people heard it in that same time, they didn't hear the hadith of the word Muslimin. So we have to take into consideration this word.
It's
And
mutlaq muqayyad.
yeah, mutlaq and muqayyad. So we take that word Muslimin, and when we build the hukm, because extracting the hukm without that word, it will be different with the word. The hadith without the word will result in people giving zakat for everybody in their household. So that is the Zadat Thiqa. For example, there is hadith in another hadith in Muslim from Shu'bah and from Abu Dharr. Some narrators, Sufyan Thawri and Shu'bah and other narrators. Some people said that the Prophet said 3 people, Allah will not look at them the day of judgment. He will not purify them and they have a severe punishment. One of them is Musbil. Musbil is someone who lets Isbal is to let something hanging down. If I leave this is now Isbal. If I do this, it's not. If you let something like this. If you like your hair down, it's Isbal. If you like your head down, Isbal. You understand? Isbal is to let just something go down. Curtain or something. You hold it, you put it up, that is not Isbal. So the Prophet said a Musbil. Now we say, okay, some people say Musbil. Some people say Musbil Izarahu, the Musbil of Izar. We will say, okay, this is trustworthy. Who said Musbil? And the person who said Musbil Izarahu is trustworthy.
More.
We can't. No, they are similar trustworthy. When they are similar trustworthy, it's fine. You understand? This one person said something, and the other person said something else. Added the word. We accept this one. This person didn't make any mistake, and this person didn't make any mistake. One of them said something, and the other said it fully. They might have heard it in the same place as well. So he didn't see the necessity to mention that word. The other person, for him, Musbil is the same. You can understand it. And the other person mentioned the word. So to take both words, it gives you the hukm. Where there is a hadith like this, sometimes it is in the matn, sometimes it is in the isnad as well. For example, Malik will say from Ata ibn Yasar, from the Prophet. Now this hadith will be broken because Ata ibn Yasar from the Prophet, it's mursal. Ata ibn Yasar is not Sahabi. It's not Sahabi, that means it's broken. He must have taken it from someone, either Sahabi or someone who is weak or someone who is trustworthy, we don't know. But someone else will say from Ata ibn Yasar, from Abi Sa'id al-Khudri, from the Prophet. Now the hadith became muttasil. But who is saying who is right? If the other person who said from Ata ibn Yasar, from Abi Sa'id al-Khudri is trustworthy, then we have to take it. To be that the narration of Malik dropped a man. He was not sure about it. The other person added a man. We have to take it. So this is how we call that Zadat Thiqa. Where the person is not strong enough, or so we don't make a decision always. There is no rule. There is studying the circumstances. If you say, I take it as Zadat Thiqa, you have to explain why. If you say this is odd, you have to explain why. You will say, oh, this is odd because this person, despite being trustworthy, he contradicted so many who are closer to this sheikh, who hear the hadith all the time from him, for example. That will make this hadith odd. If you say, oh, this person is one person, yet yes, contradicting so many, but he is more knowledgeable of all these people, because when he heard the hadith, he would write it down. He was very careful. You understand? They memorize. You understand? He see this person more many times. So it might be that he heard the hadith several times, and they heard it in one time, and the time that they heard it in, the sheikh didn't say the hadith fully. Ziyadat Thiqa is accepted because we have, for example, in Muslim hadith, people, okay, there is hadith in Bukhari and Muslim from Abdurrahman bin Samura. He said, I heard the Prophet saying that this religion of yours will be strong up to 12 Khalifas. He said, then he said the word that I did not hear. He said, then I asked my father. So he told him, all of them are from Quraysh. So the Prophet said, the religion will be strong and mighty up to 12 Khalifas. And then he said something that the guy didn't hear. So he asked his father. His father told him, he said, they are all from Quraysh. So now this man, if he didn't ask his father, his father was not there, he will say the hadith like this. Another person will narrate the hadith and he will say from Quraysh. So that is a trustworthy addition. Sometimes a person might not, they are writing hadith, they will be with the sheikh, so many of them, some of them very far, so they don't hear a word. One person...
They didn't have microphones these days as well.
Yeah, there will be someone who shout on behalf of the sheikh or whatever. They will ask each other, understand? But that is what causes... We have few hadith like this. Imran ibn Hussein say that one day the Prophet mentioned the hadith, and then he mentioned half of the hadith, that there was nothing before him, and his throne was on the water. And then he said, someone came to me and said, your camel has run away. He said, then I went out, ran after my camel. Now he didn't feel, he said, I wish I didn't go, so I could hear the full hadith. So now here he didn't hear the full hadith because he went after his camel. So if someone comes and say this hadith fully, we don't say, Imran ibn Hussein said just part of it. Now he explained the story, but he might have not. If he didn't say what happened, you say, look, he said just part of the hadith, the other person said the full hadith. That means it's odd. No, it's not odd. He heard part of it. We find few hadith like this. Hadith in Muslim, where Uqba ibn Amir, he say, I came and I heard the Prophet saying something about whoever, when you hear the adhan and you say so and so, the doors of Jannah, the 8 doors of Jannah will be open for you. And then he say he say the word to show his appreciation. And then Umar ibn Khattab said, the one that you missed is better than this. So he told him the part of the hadith. So the person, not necessarily that he will hear the full hadith. Sometimes a person is there, he will hear part of the hadith because he came late. Sometimes because he had to go early before the hadith is finished. So that's why ziyada, if trustworthy say hadith and complete, and the other person say it incomplete, we still have to take it.
Hassan takes one hadith.
But
He takes as two separate ones.
No, the Ziyadat Thiqa, he will take it in a different way. I will explain it later. Yeah. Yes.
as the general rule we take.
General rule is Ibn Hazm here as well. People take his statement strongly. He debate with those who don't take Ziyadat Thiqa, and he said those who don't take Ziyadat Thiqa. He gives example. He said, for example, we will ask them about to reject the hadith totally. He said because if they take the hadith, then there is so many hadith that there is addition from the Quran. He said those who say, if many trustworthy people have said something, and then one person said something extra and they don't take it, We say we will tell them, okay, the Quran that the whole Muslims have narrated, say for example that the thief you have to cut his hand. We say then single person narrated from the Prophet, one person or two people narrated that you have to cut the hand only if he steals this amount of money. He said this is Zadat Thiqa, addition of the Quran. He said if they don't accept it, then they have to reject the whole Quran, the Hadith. If they accept it, then they are contradicting themselves, and people use his argument against these people to. He said this is just like Zadat Thiqa. He said if one narrator add to the Hadith, comes to Hadith with addition, that is from other narrations, from the same Sheikh, from the same man. He said this is what we call Zadat Thiqa. It has to be from the same Sheikh, Malik from Nafi' and other people from Nafi'. So we say why these people have said. So he said in this case, you call it Zadat Thiqa. Is it acceptable or not? He said there is a very famous different of opinion here. Khatib al-Baghdadi said the majority of the fuqaha accept it. The fuqaha, those who understand hadith, not those who make a decision whether hadith is sahih or not. He said,
They accept the Zadat Thiqa.
yes, the fuqaha accept Zadat Thiqa. The muhaddithin, the majority of muhaddithin reject it. They call it shadh. So the opposite the difference between the fuqaha and the muhaddithin. So, and some people said they made rules. He said if the hadith is heard in the same place, in the same time, then it should not be accepted. If it's different places, then it should be accepted. So, they say if Malik was with the other people who narrated this hadith, and he added this word Muslimin, then we should not accept it, because they narrated it in the same place, in the same time. So why did he come with this word? Why the others didn't mention it? Why the others didn't hear it? You understand? So they say in this case we have to reject it. But if there is something to show that they heard it in a different times, one day he heard it and the other day they heard it, we say that we accept it, because we say the sheikh one time, sometimes people are like lazy. They mention hadith, they don't want to mention it fully. They mention only what they think it's necessary to mention. And sometimes he is fit and he wants to mention the hadith fully, and so he mentioned it fully. He says some of them said the ziyada
Is there a condition that is from the same sheikh?
It has to be from the same sheikh. Some of them said if there is mukhalafa in the hukm, if it will lead to a different hukm, then it should not be accepted. If it makes any difference in hukm, the same hadith, such as the example of Malik, and he said, but if he doesn't make any difference in the hukm, or for example when a person narrates a full hadith, you understand, a full hadith, then it's fine. If a person narrates full hadith that nobody have narrated, then it's fine. For example, how does it work? Someone will narrate hadith, he will say Abu Huraira, like for example, Ma'mar will narrate from Hammam bin Munabbih from Abi Huraira that the Prophet said that whoever fasts Ramadan with sincerity, his sins will be forgiven. And someone else will narrate it from Hammam, he will mention this hadith, whoever fasts in Ramadan, his sins will be forgiven. So this is one hadith. And whoever do qiyam of Ramadan, his sins, so that is two different hadith. He added, it's not like added the word that will make the hukum different, or you understand, but he mentioned them together. So he said if the person is trustworthy and hafiz Zadat, then it's fine. This hadith addition will be accepted. Now, Ziyadat Thiqa is to be accepted, really. Huh?
You know, sometimes they combine two hadiths in one. Is it the same as Ziyadat Thiqa or no?
That is Ziyadat Thiqa. If it's some people make the same two hadith narrated from same person. You understand? Sometimes a person might have heard two different hadith and then he combined them because they are from the same sheikh.
Yeah.
You understand? He said Abu Amr ibn Salah has given example about Ziyadat Thiqa with the hadith of Malik from Nafi' from Ibn Umar that the Prophet has made obligation zakatul fitr from Ramadan for every free person or slave, male or female, amongst the Muslimin. So he said the word from the Muslimin, this is a word that Malik have said from Nafi'. Tirmidhi had made claim that Malik narrated it alone. Nobody narrated it. And Abu Amr ibn Salah, when he gave this example, he said, Ibn Kathir says, he did not say anything about it. Like he accepted that. He said, but the truth is Malik is not the only one who narrated it. Because also Muslim narrated it from Dhahak ibn Uthman from Nafi'. The way Malik narrated it. Also Bukhari and Abu Dawud and Nasa'i narrated it from Umar ibn Nafi' from his father, just like Malik. Understand? Now, what he mentions here, Ibn Kathir, is like arguing, criticizing Ibn Salah for mentioning this from Tirmidhi, that Malik mentioned it alone, but he didn't answer. He said he should have answered, because this hadith is also in Muslim from Dhahak ibn Uthman and Nafi' ibn Umar. Al-Iraqi answered to Ibn Kathir. He said you should not criticize Tirmidhi for this, because Tirmidhi said nobody, the way he put it here, said Malik is the only person who narrated it. But Tirmidhi really, what did he say? He said this hadith, nobody, not trustworthy has narrated it except Malik. What he said, not trustworthy. So the trustworthy except Malik didn't say this word. Dhahak ibn Uthman and Nafi' ibn Umar people spoke about their memory. So when Tirmidhi said no trustworthy, it's not like he didn't know, that he might have known that Dhahak and Nafi', but for him he doesn't consider them to be trustworthy enough to be understand. So that is mutaba'a. We call that mutaba'a for Malik. Malik narrated it. So this Dhahak ibn Uthman narrating this hadith from Nafi' is called mutaba'a. And also Nafi' ibn Umar ibn Nafi' narrating from his father the hadith is called mutaba'a as well. He said another example about this ziyada of thiqa. The hadith that the Prophet said, the land was made for me masjid and tahur. That the land is made as masjid, so you can pray in it. And tahur is a way of purification. He said Abu Malik, Sa'd ibn Tariq al-Ashja'i, said something different. Abu Malik, when he narrated this hadith from Rib' ibn Hirash, from Hudayfa, he said, وَتُرْبَتُهَا, the land was made for me a masjid, and the sand of the turab of the land is made for me a way of purification. So it's not.
Is that the ziyada?
Now the ziyada, nobody narrated this ziyada. وَتُرْبَتُهَا. You understand? Soil. Turab is soil. So now when someone says turab, it looks like, when you take this, it means if you take this ziyada, it will lead to ropes are not tahur. You can't use them to do tayammum with. So he says this narration is only from Rib' ibn Hirash from Hudayfa. This is the way Muslim and Ibn Khuzaymah and Abu Awan al-Isfraini narrated this hadith. So this is another Ziyadat Thiqa.
Yes. So the rocks.
Rocks depends. If there is a dust on rocks, really, you can use them as, because when you do tayammum, you see Surah An-Nisa, it says فَتَيَمَّمُوا صَعِيدًا طَيِّبًا. So go towards Sa'id, pure, and فَامْسَحُوا بِوُجُوهِكُمْ. So go towards it and wipe your face and your hand. This is what it says. فَامْسَحُوا بِوُجُوهِكُمْ وَأَيْدِيكُمْ. That is what Surah An-Nisa says. Surah Al-Ma'idah say فَامْسَحُوا بِوُجُوهِكُمْ وَأَيْدِيكُمْ مِنْهِ. Wipe your faces and hands from it. Now that word minh means when you put your hand on a rock and then you go, and if this rock is clean, you understand? You see some mosques, they have rocks inside. No, even in Malikis. If you go to a mosque in Algeria, for example, they have these stones around the corner. When people come to do, if they have no wudu and they can't do wudu, they just put their hands on that stones and then they do tayammum with it. Now when you do that stones are clean, they are washed regularly. So there is nothing on it to take on your hand. Like you put your hand on the stone and then you do tayammum. But the ayah says, فَامْسَحُوا بِوُجُوهِكُمْ وَأَيْدِيكُمْ مِنْهِ. See here, you can, this ayah and this ayah, one say, فَامْسَحُوا بِوُجُوهِكُمْ وَأَيْدِيكُمْ, and the other say, فَامْسَحُوا بِوُجُوهِكُمْ وَأَيْدِيكُمْ مِنْهِ. Now this is mutlaq muqayyad. The first is mutlaq, the second is muqayyad. If the subject is the same, if the subject is same, is different. There is difference between, this is speaking about tayammum, this is speaking about tayammum. So you have to take this word into consideration. It's different between when Allah says about kafara of someone who kills someone by mistake, تحرير رقبة مؤمنة, and then when he speaks about the dhihar, تحرير رقبة general, and then you say you do qiyas on this, or taqyid, or this on this. That is something, and this is something. Yeah? So he says also, when there is a difference in wasl and irsal. Wasl and irsal. Hadith which is mawsul and hadith which is mursal. Now the hadith with Allahumma la taj'al qabri abad wathanan yu'bad, that the Prophet said, "Oh Allah, don't make my grave as wathan, idol to be worshipped." Now this hadith is narrated by Malik in his Muwatta from Ata ibn Yasar from the Prophet. And this is how it is known to be from the... Some people narrated it and said from Ata ibn Yasar, from Abi Sa'id al-Khudri. You understand? Now you have to make your decision. Is this person who contradicted Malik here, are we going to take it to be odd or ziyadat thiqa? You understand? If Malik have added this, is, you see, it's difference also when the person who added the word, if Malik added this word, added Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, it will be easier to take it. You understand? Now that he didn't mention, if Malik said Abu Sa'id al-Khudri in the middle, and many people contradicted him, it will be easier to say, oh, we take ziyadat thiqa. But when Malik doesn't mention it, and other people mention it, you can say, okay, Malik was not sure. Sometimes he does this. He is not sure, so he dropped the man. He's not sure Abu Sa'id Khudri is mentioned or not. He will just drop it. So you are not going to just refuse a hadith just because Malik didn't mention someone in it, even though he's trustworthy. It won't be the person who narrated it. If he is trustworthy, we don't say it mukhalaf, that he is not contradicting. He is adding. This is the trick about here. Is he contradicting or is he adding?
Yeah.
You understand? So there is no rule at all. You just have to study every hadith by itself and look at there are things, indications that shows
Adding or
the history of the person who is adding and the person who has been contradicted. If the person who has been contradicted is known, to be very careful. You know, if you have hadith which apparently is connected and you are not sure about it, you are not sure if this person is mentioned in the middle or not. If you add that person, the hadith will be sahih. If you drop that person, the hadith will be da'if. If you are not sure, you have to drop the person. You understand? This is what you should do if you are not sure. That hadith, if you have there is a doubt that this person exists in the isnad or not, even though the hadith if you drop the man, it will lead to the hadith being considered to be da'if. That is exactly what you have to do. Drop it. Because now you are making the hadith sahih. You are going to make it the hadith of a prophet. You understand? And you are not sure. And the religion, you can't add into the religion anything with doubts. If this hadith is sahih, it will be protected somewhere else. But you are not sure. You have to drop it. You have to drop you have the right to narrate what you still remember for sure. But the person that is in the middle that you do, you are doubtful, you have to drop it from the hadith. And that will make the hadith da'if through your narration. But then if it's found later from someone trustworthy who mentioned that person, it's fine. Even though it is better, it would have been better for Malik. This is what people say Malik used to do. It would have been better for Malik to say from Ata ibn Yasar, from the Prophet. But I think it was Abu Sa'id al-Khudri between. Now, if he says that, he will make it much easier for people when they see someone contradicting him. People will say, okay, Malik was not sure. And actually, he thought maybe. And now his thought is confirmed by someone else. Trustworthy. So he would have made life better for these muhaddithin who were. You understand? But not all the time Malik will be. Sometimes other people will forget totally about the isnad, about the person. You understand? So still, if he has forgotten the isnad, the other person has remembered the person, the man in the middle. Yes. So that is regarding the Ziyadat Thiqa. It is exactly Ziyadat Thiqa is the same as we have spoken about Ziyadat Thiqa when we spoke about Shadh, because Shadh and Ziyadat Thiqa comes from one place. Okay. So the number 18 is Mu'allal, hadith which is Ma'lul, hadith that has Illa. Illa is defection. Hadith that might
Remember when we studied al-Usul, إن الله كره لكم
قيل وقال.
وحرم على you said in your two hadith, and the Rawi has combined them.
I did say that.
Yeah.
I said it might be. Understand? You said it's possible that the Rawi has combined the two hadith. إن الله حرم وإن الله كره. Okay?
So is this included in Ziyadat Thiqa?
That is not really. That has nothing to do here, but yeah. We say sometimes Ziyadat Thiqa it won't change anything, and everybody will accept it when there are two different hadith mentioned in one hadith, for example. So now number 18, the hadith which is mu'allal, which is where there is defection. He says, وَهُوَ فَنٌ خَفِي. It is a very hidden art, like something delicate. It's not, he said, وَهُوَ فَنٌ خَفِيَ عَلَى كَثِيرٍ مِنْ عُلَمَاء الْحَدِيثِ. He said, this kind of knowledge of hadith, many of knowledgeable people of hadith will not know it. They can't know it. He said, to the point where some huffaz, some of these people who memorized hadith, he said, our knowledge to this kind of our knowledge of this kind of ilal, of defections, is like magic to some ignorant. You understand? Now what he's trying to say here is that people will make hadith ma'lul. They will say this hadith is ma'lul, and without giving a reason. Some people think this is how they think. They think that hadith can be considered to be ma'lul without giving a reason at all. And that is not really. That's why now, for example, Ibn Hazm will never accept that. You understand? And many people, well, from his generation, these people who follow just blindly do not agree with him. But lately, many people accept the rule of Ibn Hazm. For example, Ahmed Shakir, and those who follow Ahmed Shakir. Ahmed Shakir, for example, Ibn Hazm say one hadith apparently is sahih. We don't care who says da'if. He say if hadith is sahih, the chain of narrators are connected, then whoever says this hadith, you will find a lot of time when we read the Muhalla, he will say, I know that some people have said this hadith is da'if, but we don't take that. So he will take it regardless. He will say this hadith is the thing. Many times where he say this, he is wrong. People, but the problem is the people sometimes who consider this hadith to be da'if, they will have a reason, but because they don't mention it, some people will think, oh, this is just like they have the right to talk just like this, to reject hadith without explaining why they reject it. So he said, those who are guided, those who can find understand this art, are the strong, those who have strong knowledge amongst the criticizers of hadith. They can make the difference between what is sahih and what is da'if, what is straight, what is not. He said the way Sayrafi is someone who work with money. They used before to have gold and silver money, and in their time also there was people who try to cheat and make this money fake money. They will make it out of gold, out of iron, bronze. And then inside they cover it. They just wash it with gold or wash it with silver. They used to do that. But then there was people who were specialized in this. What they will do, they will just look at it and decide that this is wrong. He said, the hadith, the way when we go to someone who is Sayrafi, when you go to someone, you see some people in the bank, you give them the money, he looks at it and says, this is fake. He says, the way we don't argue with them, we should not argue with people of hadith when they say this hadith is da'if. When they say this hadith is ma'lul, even though when you look at it, it's fine, just like the money. When you look at it, to you it looks fine, to him it's not. So he said, the way the Sayrafi, who is good in his job, can make the difference between what is fake, what is right. He says, the way we don't argue with him and we don't have doubt when he tells us, when he makes his decision, also we should not doubt when these people make that decision and say this hadith is da'if. He said that depends on their levels of knowledge and their what they have read and what they have looked at. And also with their test to the sweetness of the wording of the Prophet. That is not similar to the saying of any other people. I mean, sometimes you look at the hadith and you realize that this is not the way the Prophet speaks. But that is not enough to decide that hadith is da'if. You have to come with a reason. You understand? You have to come with a reason. Now, if a hadith is not in Arabic, if the words are not Arabic, you understand? That is enough. But the truth is, if you look at it, if you find a hadith which speaks about something, for example, a hadith that speaks about a matter that the Prophet definitely would not have known, because it speaks about a matter that the Prophet have never seen, something that has been created, invented after the Prophet time. You understand? Someone mentioning that the Prophet, for example, has forbidden the playing of a guitar, when we know that it didn't exist in his time. You understand? So that is, but if you can't say, oh, this hadith is da'if, but before you say that, you go to the isnad and you definitely will find there is something wrong with it. So the person who says it's da'if just like that before, he is wrong. He has to explain why as well. You can't just come and say, oh, this hadith is da'if just because I don't like it.
It's da'if from the matn, like خذوا دينكم عن هذه الحميرة.
No. خذوا شطر دينكم عن هذه الحميرة. Why?
Because it doesn't.
No, you don't make hadith da'if just like that because the wording. You understand? The Prophet was Arab and he was speaking in Arabic language, and sometimes it is wahi what he speaks, sometimes he speaks because it's not necessarily that it is wahi. Sometimes the Prophet, when he speaks, you don't expect the Prophet to talk to his wives only waiting for Jibreel before he can speak generally to his wife. Or he can't, for example, if he asks, oh, get me some water to drink, you think that he will wait for wahi to ask for that? So sometimes he speaks, what language he will speak? He will speak the Arabic language that he learned from when he was a boy, he learned it from his people. He didn't learn Arabic language from Jibreel, that is the language of his people. So
we don't just defect the hadith by the look of it, no? We don't say this hadith.
No, the hadith is not to be decided just like this. The hadith is to be decided whether it is da'if or strong by the isnad. First you have to look at the isnad. So he said, amongst the hadith that has been narrated, this hadith you can see on it the light of the prophethood. Sometimes the word is changed, or an addition which is invalid has been mentioned, and the person who is basir, the person who has knowledge, can decide, can know that. Now, if a person is trustworthy and narrate a hadith, and the hadith is totally narrated from trustworthy, and you can't find any indication to show that hadith is da'if, you have to accept it. Sometimes, some people, you might find a hadith where people have said he is trustworthy, the person is trustworthy. But then, that is the thing. Is this person trustworthy? Who said he is trustworthy? Do you agree with these people when they say it's trustworthy? But if you say, oh, this person is trustworthy, but I'm not going to accept from him this hadith. You see, the decision to make people trustworthy or not is not something that have been decided and it's stopped. People still have to look at people whether they are trustworthy or not. Even today, when you look at the hadith, someone narrated a hadith, and then maybe someone has said this person is trustworthy. When you look at his hadith, this is how you decide the person is trustworthy. Not always necessary to know him in person, like you lived with him. When someone comes to you and tell you something doesn't make sense, you decide that this person is either a liar or someone who doesn't know what he is saying. He makes mistakes, he forgets. because what he says doesn't make sense, because what he said, other people trustworthy said the different. Now, do you have to live with that person to know that? If you have his book, and he say things, from his book you can decide, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, you come to a person who narrated many hadith, and you collect all his hadith, and then the first hadith, in this hadith he contradicted this person who is trustworthy. In this hadith he contradicted another person who is trustworthy. In this hadith okay, for the first thing we say, okay, maybe this hadith exists in two different narrations. The second hadith, okay, third now, doesn't make sense. This person clearly is either a liar or someone who has good memory. So you don't have to live with the person in the same time to decide that he is a liar. You understand? A person doesn't have to tell you, I am a liar, to decide. You understand? And then, or makes mistake. So he doesn't have to tell you that. You have to make your decision. That decision is based whether you hear him, whether you read about him.
Salah says you can't do this.
Well, Ibn Salah he says you can't do that at all. Ibn Salah says you can't do nothing. So
he says you have to blindly follow the previous.
He said ta'leel, illa, can be found in the isnad. He said, and there is so many examples that if we start giving examples, it's too much. He said the best book that has been mentioned regarding ilal is the book of Ali ibn al-Madini, the Sheikh of Bukhari. He has a book about ilal. He said every muhaddith that comes after him
his book
has they followed his way. The truth is Ali ibn al-Madini's book in Ilal al-Hadith is not the best, but he was the person that people followed. I mean, always the first book might not be the best, because the people who come after, they will take his book, they will add to it other beneficial things, so it will be better than it. But they relied on him. I mean, Bukhari did not learn Ilal al-Hadith except from Ali ibn al-Madini. But Ali ibn al-Madini, what he wrote in that book, is not something that he has created from his head. He also followed his teacher, Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Qattan, was better than him in this matter as well. And Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Qattan, his knowledge, he was very strong, but he learned also a little bit from Shu'bah. You understand? But he was one of the strongest people in Ilal al-Hadith, Yahya ibn Sa'id. And his students, especially Ibn al-Madini, Amr ibn Ali al-Fallas, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, they were also very strong, with Ibn al-Madini being the strongest amongst them, and Amr ibn Ali al-Fallas, and say after them Ahmad ibn Hanbal and Yahya ibn Ma'in. Bukhari was relying on Ali ibn al-Madini a lot. He learned Ilal al-Hadith from Ali ibn al-Madini. And then there is so many in his time, as Abu Hatim, Abu Zur'a, Muslim ibn Wara. These people were the most strong people in Ilal al-Hadith. And after them, say, Daraqutni his book is one of the best. Why Daraqutni? Daraqutni, he had his knowledge in that book combined with Ali ibn al-Madini and Ibn Abi Hatim, and so he has taken a lot of benefits from other books. So his book is considered to be, but there are other books that come after him, such as al-Allai, Jami' al-Tahsil.
Are better than that.
Well, it's better because only
they take
yeah. So he says the best book is the book of Ali ibn al-Madini, and then the book of Ilal for Abdurrahman ibn Abi Hatim. He says it is written on the books of fiqh, because the Ali ibn al-Madini book is it's not on the. If you want to look for a hadith, you have to find it. But the book of Ali ibn Abi Hatim, if you want to hadith about wudu, go to the book of wudu, you'll find it. So it's easier to find, to read. Also the book of al-Khallal. Al-Khallal is student of Ahmad bin Hanbal. He said also in the Musnad of al-Bazzar, in the Muslim, the book of Bazzar is a book of hadith. But in it, when he mentioned the hadith, he will mention ilal. He will say this hadith is narrated this way, but it should be this way, or there is a mistake. Or the book of Nasa'i as well, there is a lot of, he speaks about ilal. Nasa'i will mention hadith and then he will say people narrated it in this different way. So book of Nasa'i also is good for ilal. Book of Tirmidhi, also he mentions the hadith and he will say some people narrated it this way. I asked Muhammad, meaning Bukhari, his teacher, about the hadith, and he made these comments, or Darimi made these comments. And at the end of the book as well, he has the book of ilal. The book of ilal of Tirmidhi is added to his book, the main book of Sunan. He said, and one has gathered all of these, and that is the big Hafid Abu al-Hasan Daraqutni in his book. He said that is the best, one of the best books. He said that is the best I have seen anyway in this art. He said nobody has written a book similar to it. He said, and he made it very difficult for anybody who comes after him. He said, but it needs something. It should be written on the books of fiqh, like the books of hadith, wudu by itself, the book of salah by itself. He said, so it will be easier for the students of knowledge. Or that it should be on the names of the Sahaba. So people who are looking for the hadith will be easy. So if you are looking for hadith of Abu Hurairah, you find it in one area. If you want, yes. He says, and the asma of the Sahaba should be written on the huruf ma'jam, so alif, ba, and ta, and stuff. He says, so it will be easy because it is very mixed up. So a person who is looking for hadith can't find it. If you are looking for hadith, you have to read the whole book to be able to find which hadith. It's easy as well. You either do that or do an index at the end and mention the page. So if someone is looking for a hadith, the hadith at the index, it will be on the beginning of the hadith. So if you memorize the beginning of the hadith, and another index for the Sahaba, and another index, this is how the book should be. So sometimes a person knows the Sahabi, doesn't know the hadith exactly how it starts. Sometimes he knows how the hadith starts, but he doesn't know who narrated it. Sometimes he knows what he speaks about, but he doesn't neither know the Sahabi, neither know the beginning of the hadith. So all the books should be, now that people have a lot of time, they have nothing to do, they should just do this. Let's now mention some examples about hadith that are ma'lul. Let's go the same hadith that we usually mention, so just to try to remember if anyone remembers them. Okay. That we memorize that hadith. You know it as well. Okay. One. Awza'i from Qatada from Anas. So some people actually, they don't make that. Some people make that hadith. Some people say there is another illah in there. Some people say, okay, this hadith is narrated from Awza'i, from Qatada, from Anas. Yeah? But some people say, no, actually, there are other people who narrated it from Awza'i, from Ishaq ibn Abdullah, from Anas. So it's not Qatada. So they say another illah. No, let's illah. The illah of hadith of Bukhari, of Ibn Abbas. Now, Ibn Abbas narrated, this is in Bukhari, from Ata. No, not Ibn Abbas narrated from Ata. It's Bukhari narrated the hadith through Hisham bin Yusuf, from Ibn Jurayj, from Ata, from Ibn Abbas, about the idols that was in the time of Nuh. They say this was this was idols that were the pious man. And then the people, when they died, the people said, oh, let's make some idols just like statues like them, and then they will put them in our place so we can remember them, so it will give us strength for ibadah. Then when they died, they
Yeah,
say,
they watched.
in the time after time, what happened? People started worshipping them. Now this hadith is in Bukhari. Hisham bin Yusuf, the sub-narrator of Ibn Jurayj, Ibn Jurayj said that he went to Ata and asked him. Now this hadith in Bukhari, from Ibn Jurayj, from Ata here will be Ata ibn Abi Rabah. This is how people took it. Ata ibn Abi Rabah is trustworthy in any Muslim. Bukhari thought it was Ata ibn Abi Rabah. Ali ibn al-Madini and his Sheikh Yahya ibn Sa'id Qattan, whom we spoke about, are the best in Ilal al-Hadith, and Bukhari learned from them, from Ali, and Ali learned from Yahya. So they said, Ali ibn al-Madini said that his Sheikh Hisham ibn Yusuf said that this hadith, Ibn Jurayj never heard it from Ata ibn Abi Rabah. He heard it from Ata al-Khurasani. Now he is the student. Now the hadith, when you look at it, apparently is fine. But then this story shows that this hadith is not fine. He says that Ibn Jurayj went to Ata ibn Abi Rabah. He told him, give me tafsir. Tell me tafsir. Narrate to me tafsir. He said no. So he said later on he went to the son of Ata al-Khurasani, Uthman, and Uthman is weak, and he took from him the book of his father of tafsir. So here now, the least we can say, let's say we are not sure that it was Ata ibn Abi Rabah. Maybe it's Ata ibn Abi Rabah. Ibn Hajar tried to play down here this, what shows, there is no proof it's not Ata ibn Abi Rabah. Ali ibn al-Madini say definitely it's Ata ibn al-Khurasani. Ibn Hajar say, first he tried to defend. He agreed, maybe it's a mistake, but so he was not clear. So sometimes he say yes, sometimes it's... But he come to the conclusion that, okay, he said maybe Bukhari has made a mistake. I can't defend him properly. Yeah, he says every horse drops sometime. But then in other books he will again go and defend him, like he forgets what he said. But here this hadith is, let's say, okay, maybe and maybe. Now there is Ibn Jurayj from Ata. Unless he say Ata ibn Abi Rabah, we don't know. If someone has two teachers, one is weak and one is trustworthy, and they have the same name, we have to establish first who narrated this hadith, because you can't attribute to the Prophet something just without. Now he said that Ibn Jurayj from Ata, and both of them are his teachers. So it's maybe Ata ibn Abi Rabah, maybe Ata al-Khurasani. If it's Ata al-Khurasani, then Ata al-Khurasani is weak. There was a long argument now for 2 months, Ismail, with people on the internet, and he gave me headache every day, like coming and going about this hadith. Now what they say, okay, Ata al-Khurasani anyway is Thiqa. Ata al-Khurasani is not Thiqa. Abu Hatim, who is very strict in man, said he is trustworthy. Ahmad bin Hanbal said he is trustworthy.
Ata al-Khurasani?
Yes. Ahmad bin Hanbal and Yahya ibn Ma'in and Abu Hatim said he is trustworthy. Now, trustworthy, what does it mean? Trustworthy, it's not always trustworthy. Unless, if these people say that's trustworthy, it's fine. If nobody says daif. But people who are better than them say that he is not. People who lived with him. Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib,
Is he from Khurasan?
Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib, he is not from Khurasan. He was Khurasani because he came from Khurasan.
Okay.
Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib, Ata al-Khurasani told some people that Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib says that if someone has had a relation with his wife during Ramadan, he should give kafara of dhihar. You know what dhihar is? Dhihar is when someone tells his wife, you are like the back of my mother. The Quran says that he should do free a slave or...
Yeah.
Now, Sa'id ibn Musayyib was told, Ata al-Khurasani says this. He says he lied. I never told him that. Sa'id ibn Musayyib is trustworthy. So if Sa'id ibn Musayyib here, Sa'id ibn Musayyib, what he says here is definitely you have to take it as true. Because it's trustworthy unanimously. Now Ata al-Khurasani either lied intentionally or he made a mistake. In all cases, he is weak. You can't trust him anymore. Shu'bah ibn al-Hajjaj, who is better than, who is the
Strict one.
very strict as well, and he was the student of Ata al-Khurasani directly. So that is the Sheikh of Ata al-Khurasani said he is weak, and the student of Ata al-Khurasani said he is weak. He said, حدثنا عطاء الخراساني. عطاء الخراساني told us وكان نسيا. He was forgetful. Like, how can you try a person? You can hear hadith from him, and then later on he will say the same hadith in a different way. So he knew what he was talking about. So Shu'bah says hadith is da'if.
So that he's forgetful.
Yeah, he said Ata al-Khurasani told us, and he was forgetful. So he says, don't care about what he says. Bukhari said, in the Shuyukh of Malik, Malik narrated in his book, and he tried to put it in a very nice way, like to try to put only trustworthy people in his book. Malik. Bukhari said, amongst the men that Malik narrates from, I don't know anyone that should be left, like rejected, totally rejected, not like they are only weak, but I don't know anyone in the Shuyukh of Bukhari that should be rejected, except for Ata al-Khurasani. That is Bukhari as well. So if Bukhari really knew that this man was Ata, if he knew about this story, he wouldn't have narrated this hadith at all. Ibn Hibban says about Ata al-Khurasani, this Ata al-Khurasani, he says, he narrates a lot of hadith. He makes a lot of mistakes to the point where his hadith should not be looked at. Even
lenient.
No, Ibn Hibban is not always lenient. Ibn Hibban is lenient with the tabi'in, and this is a tabi'in. But when someone is unknown, he will be lenient. But when someone has hadith and he can follow his hadith, he will. Now, Ibn Hajar himself says, Saduq, what he's trying to say, that where Ibn Sa'id ibn Musayyib accused him of being a liar, he is not a liar. It's like he didn't do it intentionally. So he said, Saduq يخطئ كثيرا. He makes a lot of mistakes. The other problem is Ata al-Khurasani, even take him as trustworthy. You never heard Ibn Abbas. So it's broken. So this hadith will be da'if anyway, in all cases. Huh? Because he never heard Ibn Abbas.
He just said min.
Ata al-Khurasani is mudallis. But also, everybody they say nobody, he never met any Sahabi except for Anas ibn Malik. So his hadith from Ibn Abbas is broken and it is rejected. Munqatih. So that hadith is da'if. That is illah. When you look at it, apparently there is nothing wrong with it.
In Bukhari, just say Ata.
From Ata. Every book you say it's Ata. Yeah. And this hadith, if you try to find the hadith, did anyone narrate it from Ata ibn Abi Rabah? No one. Did anyone narrate this hadith from Ata al-Khurasani? Yes, it exists in the hadith from Ata al-Khurasani. You understand? So this is, the hadith apparently is sahih. And people will say, Ibn Jurayj from Ata, Ata is Ata ibn Abi Rabah, because he is a student. But he was also a student of Ata al-Khurasani. So this is defection in the hadith. Apparently it's fine, but no, it isn't. So that is what is called defection. It's not, the hadith doesn't look nice to me. No, the hadith is da'if. It's because you can explain it. You have to explain it. So that is one hadith which is, another hadith which is defection. Hadith from Ibn Jurayj as well. From Sulaiman bin Musa. Ibn Jurayj from Sulaiman bin Musa. From Zuhri. The hadith of Aisha. From Zuhri, from Hisham, from Aisha. About the Prophet saying that, what's the hadith? لا نكاح إلا بولي. There is no marriage except wali. Now there is here illah. And there is a illah which makes the hadith which
Right.
there is a illah that will make a hadith da'if. But then there will be al-illah which makes the illah da'if.
Clears it up.
No, it makes it da'if. It will make the illah da'if. Let's make it.
understand.
Okay.
It makes it weak and then it makes it
Even worse.
strong again.
Okay, let me explain.
Proves it right.
Now, the hadith,
لا نكاح بولي.
Ibn Jurayj, from Sulaiman bin Musa, from Zuhri, from Hisham, from Aisha, that there is no marriage except wali, without wali. People will say, look, this hadith is da'if. Why is da'if? They say, look, Ibn Jurayj said, narrated this hadith this way. And then he said, I met Zuhri. So he narrated the hadith from Sulaiman, from Zuhri.
And then he went to meet Zuhri.
He said, but later I found Zuhri. I asked him about this hadith. He said, I never told Sulaiman bin Musa about this hadith.
I remember we covered this with you, yeah.
Okay? Now, this hadith here, apparently when you look at it, some people will consider it to be sahih. Except that some people spoke about Sulaiman bin Musa. They said he is not very strong. Some people say he's trustworthy. Some people say he's not very strong. Now, he is not very strong. You have to look at why. If he is not very strong because of this story, then first we have to prove the story. You understand? Or you have to agree with them that because some people, the fact if someone says, okay, the people who say this hadith is ma'lul, there is defection in this hadith. They said, look, Ibn Jurayj says I met later Zuhri, and Zuhri definitely he said I never heard this hadith, I never told this man about this hadith. They will say, look, Aisha is supposed to be the narrator of this hadith. But she, when her brother was absent, married her two nieces to other men without the presence of their wali. You understand? So you say this is another proof. How can Aisha narrate this hadith and then she will contradict it? So he said all these shows that this hadith is da'if. Okay? Now, the answer for the people will give, they will say, look, Zuhri forgot is not problem. If Zuhri denies and the person affirms, they will say we have to go with the person who affirms, not with the person who denies. Because people forget. People forget things that they say. But people will not forget and create things. You understand? From their minds. They will forget and that they have said something, but not forget and create something from their minds. They, say, they will say, no?
The person who's affirming is
yes, always. You see, when someone affirms something, he is the right, not the one who denies. Do you know this rule?
He's remembering something.
Yeah. See, when Sahabi Hudayfa say, I saw the Prophet urinating. Aisha say, whoever say that he is a liar. We say Aisha she didn't know about it. Hudayfa knew about it.
Because they both trust her.
Now, people will say, look, if Zuhri has forgotten, it's not a problem. We have many narrators like this. In Bukhari, we have few hadith where a person will narrate hadith and then he will forget it. We have hadith of Ibn Abbas, for example. Amr ibn Dinar narrated from Abi Ma'bad, from Ibn Abbas, that we will not know the prayer of the Prophet has finished except when we hear takbir. Now, Abu Ma'bad told Amr ibn Dinar, I never told you this hadith. Amr ibn Dinar said, definitely you told me this hadith. This hadith is in Bukhari, even though there is this defection in it. They say, Amr ibn Dinar knows what he is saying. Abu Ma'bad forgot. And he actually, to affirm that he trusts Amr ibn Dinar, he started narrating this hadith from Amr ibn Dinar. He will say, Amr ibn Dinar told me that I told him. You understand? Yeah, there is few hadith like this. You understand? So they say nobody is immune from this memory that everybody forgets. They say the Prophet forgot. This hadith in Bukhari where the Prophet said about heard the man reciting one ayah, and he said he just reminded me of this ayah that I have forgotten. Abu Huraira forgot. In Sahih Bukhari, Abu Salama ibn Abd al-Rahman said, Abu Huraira told me a hadith. He said later on, I reminded him of the hadith. He said, I never told you that. So this is the answer of the people. They say, as for Aisha, doing something opposite of what she has said. He said she did that in several occasions. For example, Aisha said that the prayer when it started as 2 rak'ah, which will make the prayer, according to this hadith. She said the prayer started as 2 rak'ah. The prayer of the traveler stayed that way. The prayer of the no traveler was increased.
For the
Yes. So if we take this hadith apparently from Aisha, the way the Zahiris and the Ahnaf have taken it, if the prayer of Dhuhr is if the prayer of the traveler is 2 rak'ah, originally, it has not been like given permission, rukhsa. It's not like it has been decreased, shortened. Then if it's originally it is 2 rak'ah, then if you pray it while traveling 4, then you are just like praying Fajr 4 rak'ah. Because the hadith of Aisha, this, if we take it apparently, it contradicts the Quran that says there is no harm for you to shorten your prayer. Because if you're shortening here, it will be just rukhsa. It's permission. It's not an obligation. But if originally the prayer is 2 rak'ah, then you can't pray 4. It's just like praying Dhuhr 6. It will be haram. But Aisha, despite narrating this hadith, she herself, while she was traveling, she was praying 4. And then people will say, maybe she made kind of ta'wil. You understand? She had a different understanding. She, for example, said that the Prophet said the breastfeeding is the one that grows the flesh. That's mean when this child is still a baby. Because when someone is old, no matter how much milk drinks, breast milk drink, it won't affect him in any way. But she used to tell her sisters or to breastfeed some people so they can come and listen to her hadith. So she contradicted the hadith as well because some kind of ta'wil. So the people will say, here also she made ta'wil. You understand? So that is the answer of this kind. So they will defend the hadith. They will say this hadith is sahih and we have to take it this way. The people who say this hadith is da'if, they will come to with that, say, look, what I told you earlier. But some people will say, no, actually the illah here, this story about Zuhri denying this is narrated by who? It's narrated by Ismail ibn Ulayya. Ismail ibn Ulayya, a trustworthy person, man of the 6 books, trustworthy unanimously. But he said that his hadith from Ibn Jurayj, he is the one who narrated this story from Ibn Jurayj, that Zuhri denied all story and that Zuhri said, I did never mention this hadith. But people say, okay, Ismail ibn Ulayya also said that all his hadith of Ibn Jurayj, everything that he heard from Ibn Jurayj was in a book. And that book, he gave it to someone, Ibn Abi Rawad, who is untrustworthy, and told him, just like compare my book to your book, any mistakes, correct them. And then once someone does this with his book and give it to someone untrustworthy like that, we can't rely on anything in that book. So anything that we hear from Ismail ibn Ulayya, from Ibn Jurayj, we don't care about it. And this story about the hadith of Ibn Jurayj from Sulaiman bin Musa, from Zuhri, is known. The story, the defection, has a defection. You see now that defection would make hadith da'if. But that defection also, there is a defection in that defection.
Is there any other hadith like this, where the story with defection?
Yeah, there is defection. Yeah. There is a hadith, for example, there is a hadith which is from Bukhari, that Bukhari with Muslim came to Bukhari and asked him about hadith from Suhail bin Abi Salih, from his father, from Abi Huraira, about when the people are sitting in a place, and then they mention, I don't know if you will mention it here, they say, when people finish from sitting,
Oh, yeah.
they will say سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك تبارك اسمك وتعالى جدك ولا إله غيرك. So I don't know if he should have. Now the Bukhari say Muslim came to him and said, do you know hadith like this? Bukhari said, I don't know any hadith similar to this. You understand? And so Muslim asked him, is there any problem with this hadith? He said yes. He told him this hadith is the hadith of Bunu'un from the Prophet, which will make the hadith da'if. You understand?
Yeah.
And and people will say this hadith is da'if because of this illah. The hadith is da'if anyway, but because
I didn't understand the ilm.
why? No, but Bukhari didn't explain what is the illah. He said just because this hadith is known to be the hadith of Musa bin Uqba from Suhail bin Abi Saleh. He said there is no narration from Musa bin Uqba from Suhail bin Abi Saleh. Bukhari said this. Musa bin Uqba doesn't narrate from Suhail bin Abi Saleh.
So this is the ilm.
Yes.
طيب Sheikh, what's the
No, that is what Bukhari says.
Confirm.
Now people will say this story should be wrong. This illah should be wrong. So they say this hadith, it's not possible that Bukhari would have said this. He said, how can Bukhari say, I don't know a hadith similar to this? When there is a hadith similar to this, narrated by, no, it's not in Bukhari, but there are similar hadiths to this, narrated by Abu Barz al-Aslami, Rafi' ibn Khadij, Jubair ibn Mut'im, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, Anas ibn Malik. They say, okay, is it possible that Bukhari have missed all these other narrations, even though they are weak? Just because Bukhari said, I don't know any other hadith similar to this, people say, oh, that is... And they say, okay, this narration is narrated by someone called Ahmad bin Hamdun al-Qassar. And they say this person is untrustworthy. So this illah has illah.
طيب حديث عائشة في الصلاة. What's its defect?
No, the hadith of Aisha is not salat, there is no defection in it. The hadith of Aisha in salat is sahih.
No, you said الأصل فيها ركعتان.
Yeah, the hadith of Aisha, it's in Bukhari, that she said that salat, when it has been originally made obligation, it was made obligation as two rak'ah. That is the saying of Aisha. That's why it should not be accepted. That is the saying of Aisha, contradicting the Quran. The Quran says, لَيْسَ عَلَيْكُمْ جُنَاحٌ وَإِذَا ضَرَبْتُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ. When you are traveling, there is no harm that you shorten the prayer. The Aisha, the way she said it, she said the prayer is 2 rak'ah originally. So that is contradicting the Quran.
How can you shorten it?
Huh?
Is that what you're trying to say?
The Quran, Allah says in the Quran, when you travel, you shorten the prayer.
Yeah.
You shorten, that means originally the prayer is 4, and then you shorten it. You understand? But the way that Aisha says it is like the prayer is 2 rak'ah, you don't shorten it. You understand?
She meant to.
So here, Aisha, when she says this, when the prayer was originally, just we have to think, Aisha, did she say the Prophet said that? She didn't. You understand? So, okay, you say this is something that started and stayed. You can't take these things by just watching. Oh, people are praying 2 rak'ah, and then when you travel, it's increased. Maybe it has increased altogether, and then it has been shortened later. You understand? It has, when the Prophet was traveling and resident, he was praying 2 rak'ah at the beginning. And then he was in Medina, resident for a long time. He doesn't travel there and then, like every day. So he is in Medina, and he ordered people to pray 4 rak'ah then. So that was 4 rak'ah for him while he is in Medina, and for the travelers as well. And then later it has been shortened. So Aisha can't come to this conclusion just by watching. She has to hear it from the Prophet. But she never said the Prophet said it. Also, we have to take this into consideration. When Aisha was in Medina, when Aisha married the Prophet, she was 6. When the prayer was started, Aisha was, the most she was 3-year-old. She says in her hadith, when she married, she married the Prophet when she was 6. She was in Medina when she married the Prophet. The prayer was obligation in Mecca.
Oh, so how's she know?
You understand? So how was she there? She says, I remember my parents, when I came to my sense to understand, she was a baby, doesn't understand. She said, as soon as I could understand, I found my parents on the religion. And she described Abu Bakr praying in his house. So she was not there. Because as soon as she could understand, her father already was praying. So she doesn't know exactly, she must say where she got this story from. How did she come to this conclusion?
And you said before the Prophet never prayed while traveling for Salah?
Yeah, we don't know any hadith that says the Prophet used to pray full prayer while traveling. That doesn't mean that it was not rukhsa. The Prophet always takes the rukhsa as long as, if someone says, okay, the Prophet doesn't take rukhsa for fasting, for example. When he was fasting, sometimes he fasted. But when for the prayer, he always prayed for rak'ah. What's the difference? He fasts for himself, but for the prayer, he need other people. You understand? So if he pray fully the prayer, the other people has to pray 4 rak'ah. It's definitely 2 rak'ah are easier than 4. So when he prays always, he prays jama'ah. If he pray 4, the other people has to pray 4. But when fasting is not problem. He can tell people don't fast, but he fasts. Because they don't have to follow him. It's not like there is no imam in fasting.